Okay, so it's a Saturday night. Is everybody all ready to party? Or is it like me, ready to fall into bed? Well, tomorrow, tomorrow I wanted to do a little bit of talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow, me and a friend, and I would name him, but only I'm not sure if he likes for me to name him or not, or if he would want me to name him. But he's a really good friend, has a lot of experiences in the paranormal world. You probably all have heard of him. Probably not in the Bigfoot world, but more in the alien side of it. But that doesn't mean that he didn't have. It doesn't mean that he didn't have, Bigfoot stuff happening. Hi, Connie and Nicole and Brown Dwarf. How y'all doing? I figured, Saturday night we're not doing nothing. Howdy, Arlo. Yeah, and we could sit and chat, and I'll try to keep track of the chat. But tomorrow, early in the morning, me and a friend are going to head out to probably one of the areas that I've researched like the most. Oh, like in the, I would say, mid 90s to mid 80s. It's one of the areas that I spent a lot of time in there. Aloha, Aaron. Howdy, Woolly Booger. Hey, there's my son, Larry Walker Talker. What are you doing, Odie? Nice to see you guys. And Winner. Hey, Winner. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Winner. I'll say that on the air for you. But yeah, there's some really cool places down here, and I'm gonna take a camera with me and document what we do. Hopefully, we find some things, that like some tree structures or some tracks, stuff like that. Wow, today's your oldest son's birthday. Happy birthday to Woolly Booger's oldest son. How you doing? I hope you had a great birthday. I noticed Antifa didn't show up. I guess they nobody fed him pizza or whatever. That's what I heard on Facebook. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a camera with me and extra batteries and extra SD cards, and I'm gonna try. It's gonna be like he was saying, like a 3 hour tour, right? Kind of like the Gilligan Island thing. I hope we don't get lost. But so we're gonna go out there, and I know some really cool places. In fact, we were chatting on Facebook right before this, and I was gonna get on earlier, but only I was chatting on Facebook and about what we're gonna do tomorrow and some of the things I want to bring, and then we started talking about some of the spooky places. Like there's a rock quarry there. Now, a few years like before I saw a Bigfoot, I'm talking like maybe 5 years, so around 82, somewhere in there. And I drank. I was a drinker then also. I wasn't totally out of control, but only at that point, but I was getting there. And probably TMI, right? TMI. But we found this rock quarry, and we thought it was cool, and we got out and we were wandering around in there, and a couple of times we threw some rocks into it because it was like full of water. So we threw some rocks in there, and you know how to get a gauge of how deep things are, you throw big rocks, and you can kind of tell if it's deep or if it's shallow, but it was pretty deep, you know what I mean? Like the rocks would go sploosh. So I know it was deep. I don't know how deep though. I don't know if there was any fish in it or not. But we threw some rocks into the water, and then hiked around a little bit, and then it was time to get serious, and drink some beer. It was beer time, That's what we went there for, in the middle of nowhere. And so we didn't make a campfire or anything. We just kind of like sat on the edge of this rock quarry overlooking it. It looked like like a pond. It was probably like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 acres, something like that. And while we were sitting there, some rocks were thrown into the water. And, first, when you're not a believer or a knower or anything, and you don't know anything about Bigfoot, you rationalize everything away, even though it creeps you out at first. You know what I mean? Like, and the whole time I was there, I kind of felt like something was watching me, and it was giving me the uneasy feeling the whole time, from the time we stopped there. And when the rocks hit the water and they were big rocks too, like the kind that we rolled it. I mean, we didn't actually pick them up. We kind of rolled them, because they were so big we couldn't pick them up. So you would hear it rolling down the hill and then sploosh. Only this time, whatever was tossing the rocks, they didn't roll. They just splooshed, and they were big. I would say like 2 times the size of a basketball size of this by the sound of it. And then my buddy was telling me, oh, it's just carp jumping or something like that, some fish jumping. I mean, we had all these ideas, and we talked ourselves back to reality, you know what I mean? Like from monsters back to reality, nothing to be worried about. And it was starting to get dark, and we planned on like, it didn't matter if it got dark or not. We spent a lot of time in the area, so it was only like a couple of 3 hours back to home, and we didn't mind driving home at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning. It was like a warm summer night, and we were sitting there, and it was a little while after the rocks or whatever had hit the water, and we rationalized away. Well, the all of a sudden, there was these, like, not owls. It was more like, it wasn't really screams. It sounded like somebody vocalizing in the shower, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, and it sounded like somebody was vocalizing to hear their echo. That's what it sounded like. I mean, it wasn't intimidating or threatening, but only they were doing like high and low, and they would do it just for a second, a couple of seconds, and they were doing these weird vocalizations, and to me it sounded like they were trying to, like, they were hearing their voice echo, and they were enjoying it. And as far as I know, there was only one, but it was creepy. And we knew we were the only ones there, and it sounded human. You know what I mean? Like, it sounded human. So it was like, you know what? We better get out of here. After that, it was like, it's time to go. It's time to go out. Get out of there. And we never went back over there in the dark, but we did make it over there a few times, like, in the daytime. And then after I had my Bigfoot sighting, and then after the internet became a thing, where you could read stories on the internet, I started realizing early on that some of the stories had a lot of sightings happen in rock quarries, and a lot of the things that happened to us at the rock quarry happens to other people at rock quarries. And I'm not just talking about around here, I'm talking about all over the United States. If you can find a rock quarry, you pretty much found a hot spot for a Bigfoot. They love, for some reason, they love that stuff. Yeah, you know what? Aaron, I just saw that video. I just was looking at the Bigfoot fetus video. I'm not, and I think you sent it to me, Pam, right? You sent it to me. Well, I don't know if that's real or not. Anybody could fake something like that. I'm pretty sure, I have some movie making friends that make little short movies, and they could whip one of those things out like really quick and make the blood and everything. And there's no smell-o-vision, so the guy was like saying it was all smelly over there and everything. But then again, it could be real. You know what I mean? Like, it could be real. I mean, it really could. I mean, and I know I saw the second video where he has it in the freezer. But yeah, that's like a weird video. Yeah, there's all kinds of Bigfoot stories in Mexico and South America too. Actually, all over the place. That was one of the things that when I was working for Finding Bigfoot. Okay, when I was working for Finding Bigfoot, I I only worked for them when they were here, but only I was hired by Finding Bigfoot, Animal Planet. I was working for them. I was not going to be on TV. I was solely hired to find the shooting locations, buy the permits. Actually, before the producer showed up, they sent me a list and emailed me a list of what they were looking for, places to shoot, and what, like geographic locations, what they wanted it to look like, certain areas, it had to be certain distances, stuff like that. And then they gave me like 3 weeks to run around, and I took pictures of everything. I mean, that was my job, okay? And then when they showed up, then I was their guide because I know all the whole area and everything. So I became like their guide all over the place. But what was fun was these guys been all over the world. These camera guys and Bobo and Cliff Barackman. I mean, they're well versed on anything Bigfoot, and I learned it was like all around the world. These things happen all around the world, and then after talking to them, then I went on the internet. Thank God for the internet, and you can look up this stuff. Like there's a volcano over there where they see Bigfoot or something very, very, very large, like in the 15-foot range or bigger, that traverses the volcano fast. Like it would take us hours to go up to the top of they go in minutes, like a few minutes, and they're out of sight, and they usually see three or four of them. It's really interesting. But tomorrow we're going to go out and we're going to go back to this area where the rock quarry is. We're not going to just go to the rock quarry. There's a lot of places down in there that are real squatchy, and I found all kinds of man, hanging with Bobo. Bobo's so cool. You lucky. I want to go hang out with him again. I mean, the guy is really cool. I mean, there's a story. This guy, Bobo, saved my life. I mean, for reals. I mean it for reals. I mean, he is really one of the coolest guys that I know in the Bigfoot world. I would love to go hang out with him again, and so is Cliff, really, and so is Renee. All of them really, really cool. So is the crew. They're really cool. I hung out with them for a whole month. It was so fun. But we can do it. Yeah. Hey, maybe I could get Bobo to call in, and we can sit and chat with him, like on here, like on the chat. That would be kind of fun. I don't know if he would be into it or not, but maybe. It isn't like he doesn't know me. But we're gonna go out. We're gonna go out tomorrow, and I'm gonna take a camera and extra everything and I'm going to document everything I find, and then I'll come back and share it with you guys. And it might be like a recorded thing, like come back and edit out all the crappy nothing stuff, and just put something together of all the different areas that we checked out. And if we don't find anything, I'm still probably going to put something, and we'll talk. I'll see if my buddy will go on camera and talk a little bit about what some of his experiences, and I'll just interview him sitting out on a rock or something. Maybe we can interview each other back and forth, something like that. Like he worked the camera and interview me, and then I'll work the camera and interview him. Something. I mean, we'll come up with something kind of cool to bring. But yeah, and I wanted to come on. I thought, man, it's Saturday night. I'm not doing nothing. It was a little bit boring. I mean, I really wasn't doing anything. I wondered how many people are like me sitting at home on Saturday night, and nothing going on. Might as well like see how everyone's doing, right? See if everybody's all squatchy or not tonight. Yeah. Yeah, and then you might notice I fixed the spelling on the shirt, and then I even changed the font on it, and then I created like a campaign with the shirts. Okay, so you can click on this video after it finishes. I'll put a link on that'll pop up inside the on the video, or you could go to the last 2 or 3 videos that I've done on YouTube, and there's a little eye up in the top, I think the top corner on this side. If you click on it, it'll bring up the T-shirt link, or in the cover photo, there's a bunch of little links. One goes to the Facebook, one goes to the Google Plus, one goes to Teespring. Check out I didn't do a lot of stuff. I did a women's shirt in some different colors, a men's shirt, a hoodie, and a coffee cup. And man, these antibiotics I'm taking, they're messing with me. I noticed that when I go back and watch the video, I'm like, man, I'm on these antibiotics, it's messing with my stomach so hard. But I got to take them. And I did the shirt, and then I made it a campaign where only 50 shirts, okay? Only 50, because I have some other ideas for other artwork and stuff like that. And maybe later, if I have another, if you go to the Squatch Zone or squatchzone.com, there's nothing there yet. It's just an empty store. I'm not sure if they're hemp or not. I know they're good quality though. I ordered their cheapest one, and the one that was misspelled, and it's a good shirt. I'm gonna wear it around anyways, even though it's misspelled. I'm gonna see how many people come up and tell me, "Hey man, that's spelled wrong." That should be pretty fun. Maybe I'll take selfies with them, and share that on my Facebook and stuff. So you won an award. You get a selfie with me on Facebook. No. Yeah, but yeah, so like maybe we might hit Avocado Lake. I would like to do that. Only I know there's a lot of attention over there right now, and I'm not sure if I want to bring that kind of attention to us yet. But only I'm not done. This is just the first time out to do this stuff. Yeah, and then back to the t-shirts. I made it like 50. My idea is what I really want to do is I want to showcase everyone's art. I mean, some of you guys are really good artists, and you're musicians and stuff like that, and I want to showcase you guys. I want to make it where it's like a very limited run. You own the artwork. I don't want it, like the ownership of it or anything. And you can continue to sell it after if you want to. But I want to showcase, like put it on T-shirts or make some prints, or maybe something like that. I mean, however that you guys want to do it. I know Tony Spirit Feather. He made me a flute with a Bigfoot on it. I don't know if you guys saw that. He said he could even make a flute. I told him go for it. It won't have a Bigfoot on it. He said that will be the only one he ever makes, but it could have something cool on it. But it'll be a traditional Native American flute. And, maybe we can do a raffle on that. I mean, I want to showcase artists, talk about Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff. But we have a platform where we all can share our talents, and maybe all of us make some Christmas money or something like that. I mean, if you got artwork or you got songs, I mean, I'll make the song my intro and go out song for the show, or my YouTube channel, and every month or every so often change it to another one and showcase another musician. I mean, you guys can have, as long as it's your own music, it's not like cover songs for Led Zeppelin or anything like that. I mean, you could even write a song strictly just for that, you know what I mean? And then put it on iTunes or whatever, and then we'll put the link and we'll sell the song 99 cents or $1.99 or whatever. The same thing with the shirts. What I want to do with the SquatchZone.com is make it a store for all the stuff that people create, all the squatchers out there create, and then sell it. And I want it to be limited. Whatever it is that I do, I want it to be limited so it makes it special. You know what I mean? Like when you're sporting this whatever, or you're hanging that piece of artwork in your living room or whatever, it's special because there's not thousands of them everywhere. You know what I mean? Maybe not even hundreds, maybe just a few. And I want to keep doing that. And as we grow, I'll just keep doing that and doing that. If it doesn't work out, we'll try something else. Just an idea I have. And the actual T-shirt that I'm running right now on the 50, I might like redo that one for a little while, and I'll add things to it because I need a different computer. I built this computer like 2009, and it was a smoking hot computer in 2009. It actually ran me and Jeffrey's show. When me and Jeffrey were doing the show, it ran our show for 4 or 5 years without even a hitch. It's running this one and it's doing fine, but only I noticed if I try anything, like Arlo pointed out, it's not, everything upgrades, like all the software upgrades, like your phone upgrades, everything upgrades, and it uses more resources now because everything made can handle it. They can handle more resource stuff. And this computer is pretty much topped out. I mean, it'll still run it and everything. And I think it's running like when I get it all really working, it's running about 79% of the CPU out of 100%. So 79%. And usually back in the day, it was running around 30, 25 or 30, 40%. And so there was no glitches or anything. I know this is kind of boring to most everybody. Sorry about that. But the whole idea is to not beg to everybody, oh, please, give me money so I can build a computer. No, I rather like do it like this. Like you have something in your hand that and then at the same time I can earn a little money and I can build the computer I need. It to me it feels a lot better, even though you guys are great, and if you plus I believe in God, and I believe that God puts things on your heart, like with me and my wife, he put it on our heart to take in my cousins, which actually Larry Walker, that chimed in on the chat, he's actually my cousin and my son. I took him in and his two brothers in 1987 or somewhere in there, right, Odie? And I raised them as my own kids, and God put that on my heart to do that, right? And lots of other kids, and to give people things and give them money. So I know God puts things on people's hearts, and I don't want to hinder that, because I believe there's blessings behind that. You know what I mean? Like, you get blessed, maybe not in this life, probably in this life, but we live forever and ever. So, I mean, I think when we get on the other side, if we play in this little sandbox good, and we're do the right thing in this little section of life that we have here, that's very, very like a blink of an eye. What did God called it? A hand's breadth. That's like, a hand's breadth is your hand passing like that. So that's how fast our life goes by to him. In this life, it's still a forever life once you get past this life. But so I'm never ever gonna stop anyone from that wants to give out of their heart, because I understand that. It's hard. I'm just the other guy. Like, I used to do everything. Like, I didn't need people's help. So it's kind of new for me to be on the side of the where I do need help. Like, so I'm learning how to accept it and say thank you and all that kind of stuff, because I never was in this position like this before, ever. I was always the guy helping everyone, and I love doing it, and I love helping people. I never was the one that was asking for help. So, I love you guys. Plus, I wanted to say I love you guys. I haven't said that in a while, and I really mean it. I mean it. I love you guys. I don't think we hear that enough. I know I don't. Like all my kids, they're all watching. I love you guys, all of you, everyone, all of you in the chat. I love you guys, man. I mean, I seriously do. I'm getting goosebumps just even saying it. But yeah. Yeah, so subscribe and do all that kind of stuff, and then be watching for a video to come out in the next day or so of my antics in the woods tomorrow. I think it's Blue Canyon is what we're going into, not the Blue Canyon. Everyone is not the Blue Canyon in California. There's two Blue Canyons. One's up by Tahoe, I think, and then there's another one down here where I live at, above Pine Flat Lake, and in between Pine Flat and Shaver Lake and Dinky Creek, like, area. A beautiful area, and it's a good place that you could go all year around because there's no snow, and it's actually in the winter range. Of the migration route of the deer. And so deer hunting season was what, last month, September? It used to be in October, but they moved it up. So September, so like most of the deer are already on their way here or here down in that area because there's no snow. So it's like no snow above, let's see, below the snow line, above the fog line, and a perfect place. Lots of rattlesnakes and stuff like that, and I think those are still out. Deer up the wazoo, some beaver. I've seen beaver, and then there's a lake up there called Black Rock Lake, And that's another weird, eerie place. It's way back there, pretty far out, and it was in, yeah, Dinky in the 411. Yeah. Well, you won't believe how many Bigfoot sightings happen at Dinky Creek. I mean, I've been hearing about Bigfoot and Dinky Creek for at least since the late 80s. And I would say 30% of those sightings, it was a white one, an all white Bigfoot. And I had some, there's a reservation down in there. Yeah, like Ito, you saw one, huh? When I'm about ready to take calls. I almost have everything. I only need one more cord, and I could take some calls. But I would love to sit and chat with Ito about, because he has like a really interesting Bigfoot sighting. I think you and a couple other people, right? Where it was you and your brothers or something like that. Saw one by Dinky Creek. Yeah, Wishon is just down from Dinky Creek. In fact, Wishon, that's the area where me and Jeff were doing most of our research the last 2 years, because there was sightings of a multi-colored Bigfoot that was white and dark brown. And at like one of the but only they don't want to be, interviewed or anything. They'll tell their story and everything, but they don't want to be interviewed. But they were scouting for hunting areas, like what I talked about earlier. It was before deer season. His dad was some kind of shaman or something like that. They were Asian. So like in where they came from, their dad was a shaman, and they stopped over by Dinky Creek, and he was just gonna hide. They were camping at Dinky Creek, but they went down the road a little ways from Dinky Creek and pulled off on this little trail that his son wanted to walk on. The dad stayed in the car. He had a bad feeling. He didn't. He was like, no way, I'm not getting out of the car. And he was even telling his son, don't get out of the car. Don't get out of the car. Something bad is out there. Something bad. Well, he was walking down the trail, and he had his pit bull with him. Pretty soon, the pit bull wouldn't even go any further. So while he's messing with his pit bull, he's messing with the pit bull, trying to get him to go, and he notices this white thing, and he thought it was a grocery bag, those white plastic grocery bags, and it was like stuck on a stump or something. That's what he thought it was. But his dog kept on looking over there, and pretty soon, the thing stood up, and it wasn't a grocery bag. It was it was a Bigfoot, and the dog ran. The dog ran for the car, and then he ran for the car, and he realized the thing started running also, right? The Bigfoot started running also, and it was going to, how he described it, it was going to intersect with him before he made it to the car. And he was freaked out. I mean, he was totally freaked out. But he said right at the last minute, I mean, he wasn't going to change. He was going to keep going for the car no matter what. Even if he ran into the Bigfoot, he was going to try to get by him, run faster or whatever. But he said right at the last second, the Bigfoot veered off into the woods. And the dog had ran all the way back to the car and jumped through the window and was in his dad's lap in the car. And that's a weird, that's just one of the things that I've heard about around Dinky Creek. Yeah, I think they're everywhere, really. I don't think that there's anything different about here than Northern California or Southern California, except for the terrain. But I don't think terrain has anything to do with if there's Bigfoot around or not. I mean, I think they've been all in the desert and everything, you know. Huh. That would be interesting. Play a Bigfoot howl. I have no idea, you know, like the old guy, I don't know if he was packing or not. He wouldn't get out of the car from what his son told me. And you know, once he told me some things, what's weird is like the Asians go up into the woods all the time, and they hunt everything, right? They eat everything that they hunt too. And but only they're really quiet. You know, they don't just come right out and start telling you things. You kind of have, it's almost like the natives, the First Nation people, they don't come straight out and start telling you stories like right away. You know what I mean? Like you got to gain their trust and friendship and all that before you get to hear the real deal. Otherwise, most of the time they're making fun of you or they're clammed up totally, you know. But the he this guy ran, and I met his cousin, I think it is. He manages a car wash, and the car wash broke my mirror off the van. You know, I mean, it slammed it back and forth, and it busted my mirror. And I was in there, and you know, saying, "Hey, man, your car wash broke my mirror. You know, what are you gonna do about that?" Like they said, "Oh, your car's over 5 years old. We don't do nothing unless it's, you know, 5 years old or newer." And I thought, what? You know, my car's, so what? It's a 2000, but it just barely went over 100,000 miles. I mean, it's newer than a lot of other newer cars, you know. Like I was driving around in a 2009 the other day, or 2010, and it had 200,000 miles on it. I mean, come on. But I'm over there, and then he's like looking at my mirror and everything, and he walks around the back of my van, and then he sees gone squatching and all this stuff on the back of my van, right? He's like, "Wait a minute." He goes, "I know who you are, man. I know who you are." He goes, "You talked to my cousin, uh, the multicolored Bigfoot." You know, I'm like, "Yeah." You know, and then he started telling me his stories around Dinky Creek about like how he believes like I believe. They're there, they're watching you. They probably watch you, like some people like me that go up there all the time, they probably watch me grow up. They probably know who I am. You know what I mean? Like David Ragosa, he goes in this one area all the time, like for 15, 20 years. I believe those Bigfoots know him. Like they probably know the sound of his car and everything. You know, I don't think they're stupid. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, well, they didn't give me a new mirror, but at least I got a bunch of good stories from him. And I was trying to get an interview off of him, like, "Hey, man, you know, let me bring a camera over here and a microphone and tell me some stories." You know, he's like, "No, wouldn't do it," but it was worth a try. You know, you saw a Bigfoot in the third grade. Really? Where were you? Muir Woods. Where's the Muir Woods? Man, that's a trip. I know when we lived in Yosemite, we no, mine's a Toyota Sienna, 2000 Toyota Sienna XLE. I picked it out because I mean all leather, all electric, you know, sunroof, everything, all the good stuff, you know. And then it only had 50,000 miles on it, and I bought it cash, no payments. I don't think I paid a payment on a car in a long time. I learned it's way better to save your money up, and then when you have 6 or 8 grand, sell the one you have and take that money and put it together and then go buy one cash. You know, you might not get a brand new one, but you can get one pretty decent if you shop around a little bit, you know. Yeah. Yeah, I remember in when we lived in Yosemite. Oh, it was a Bigfoot, and it turned out to be a bear killing a deer. They I don't know if they're open for camping right now or not. I know they stay open until deer season is over, but I know you can drive because of the Helm project. Which, and I saw Woolly Boogers say something about that. I almost worked that one time when I was a union painter. I almost worked that. But I know, like, because of the Helms project, you can drive back there all year around. And in the wintertime is a really good time to drive back there. You you can't really go off road, off the highway driving, but you can hike down these roads. And if you hike down the road and then go off, like say you hike down this dirt road, which would be covered with snow, okay, you can see the tracks. You can find tracks in the snow easier than you can find them when there's no snow. So, like, the winter time is a really good time to go out squatching because they leave tracks in the snow and you can see them and read them way better than in the dirt, you know. And you can see them really good too. And I don't know if you guys know this about Sasquatch tracks or Bigfoot tracks, but they're not offset. You know what I mean? They're almost like single file. So, like, if you see tracks, like, and they're not like single file, they're most likely not Bigfoot. But yeah. Oh, you're gonna go to Yosemite this week? Man, I don't think my car will make it over there. I mean, they hit the 100,000 mile mark. You know what that means? It means now you need a timing chain and all that stuff, and it is kind of running rough, you know. So I got to do some work to my car. I mean, I could drive it around town, but I don't know if I would do a 3-hour drive to Yosemite through the hills. The transmission probably wouldn't make it. It says north facing hills with the hot. Yeah, they always are on the cool side. Like in the summer, they're always in the cool side of the mountain. And they're always in the dense trees, always. They're hardly ever, ever, never in the open. Even though I have seen a couple of them in the open, but it was real, real, real early in the morning, and they were just passing through. And they didn't know I was there. So, you know. But yeah. Wow, you seen a Bigfoot when you were 25 years ago? It does scare that out of you. It really does. When I saw the first one I ever saw, I didn't go camping for 6 years. That's why I say I've been actually Bigfooting since 1993, because I saw it in 1987. I didn't go back. I actually didn't. I haven't bought another deer tag or bear tag since. I mean, I haven't went hunting like for animals ever since. And then when I finally did go back, I wasn't going back for the deer. I was going back to, like, after 6 years, was like, did I really see what I saw? Like, I wanted to prove it to myself again. And the very first time out, the very first time out, I tracked one into an open area, like on top of this mountain ridge, and its track stopped in the middle of nowhere. The tracks just ended, and there was nowhere for it to go. It was like 50 or 60 yards to the nearest anything. It had to leave a track. There was no way that it flew unless something took it or it went into another dimension or something. That was my very first time back. And then my second time back, they have these the cow, what do they call them, range cattle, where the government lets the people lease the land, and then they just let the cows run. And it's what's weird is the cows come to calls when the cowboys go to rounding them up. They just ride around hooting and hollering, and the cows come to them. It's weird to watch, fun to watch actually. But on their trails that they use, it's like moon dust, and usually they go way in the middle of nowhere woods, like off the roads, and I found like some of these trails, and would, because it's easy walking, I would use the trails, and I found some perfect prints. And this was my second time out, and I like came across this trail. I was actually I found a mine about 10 years prior, an old mine, and I was thinking, man, what a great bug out place, because I also found a spring like maybe only a half a mile from there, and I was thinking, man, if I ever had a bug out, there's that mine that I could get into, and there was spring water coming right out of the mountain only a little ways away. So I was like making big circles, like where I thought the mine was. I started circling and getting wider and wider and wider, by 5 or 6 or 8 yards, until I found the mine. I found the mine finally. I almost fell in an air shaft, like a dummy, I was standing there taking a leak too, I looked down and there was the air shaft. I was like, aha, the mine. But if I would have took one more step, I didn't even see it. Man, boy, how dumb can you get? But yeah, I found the mine, but I found these prints in this moon dust on this trail where the cows just made it like fine, like talcum powder, right? So you could see all the lines in the foot and everything, like the lines. Yeah, man. And it wasn't even a big track. It was probably a size 11 or 12. It wasn't a huge track at all. But it was cold. It was in October. It was right before they locked the gates and you can't get in there. So, it was cold. Do I think there's an ethereal Bigfoot and a flesh and blood one? I'm on the fence, man. I've read so many stories and heard so many people talk about the flesh and blood one for years, right? And the family unit and all that stuff. But then there's the other ones, like when you go into Oregon and Washington. When I lived up there, those Bigfoots did mind speak and weird stuff. And I didn't know what to believe on that, over there with the UFOs and all this stuff going on with the Bigfoot up there, okay? Like Mount Shasta and stuff. There's some weird things going on, and it includes Bigfoot. Well, now I never really, I thought the people were kind of like crazy. But then I started finding, like around here, it's the same. It's happening here too, only it's not seen as much. You know what I mean? Like they see the Bigfoot or they see the UFO, but nobody really ties it together But when you start getting calls of UFOs and Bigfoots at the same time, and you start realizing that there'll be a slew of Bigfoot sightings and a slew of alien sightings. And I know the aliens are already interdimensional. They're not extraterrestrial. They're interdimensional. You know what I mean? I think they've been here. I think they're here. I don't think they came from anywhere. I think they're here. And I have some people telling me like a lot of people too, like when they abduct, they're learning about us, right? Supposedly. What do they don't know? Like if they were abducting people since the pyramids were built, you'd think they'd know everything about us. Like, why are they really abducting people? I don't know. But yeah, just uploaded some videos of you know what, I went and looked at your I subscribed and I looked at the Bigfoot you have that's sticking, his head is sticking out of the tree. That is how they hide though. And it makes it really hard to take video of them when they don't come out of the trees. You know what I mean? They don't. You know. Good morning, Sir Tyson from the UK. They probably get mad if I called you Sir Tyson over there, huh? He's like, he's not a sir, whatever. I can't even speak like that. I should not try, Yeah, it's kind of a trip when what about the dog man? What about that? Have you guys been noticing like more and more dog man stuff? I mean, and this goes into the UK too, huh? Sai, really? It goes to the UK. I mean, they like I think they've been having them for years over there. I wish I was a sir too, get knighted. Does that mean more money? You make money if you have a knight? Like you become a sir knight or whatever? You know? But yeah, like in the last probably 4 years, and it's ramping up, is the dogman stuff. A lot of dogman stuff. The little people, I've been hearing about the little people for a long, long time. I mean, a long time. Probably just because of the crowd I run with, or was running, that I hang with. That's a belief that the little people has like been around. You know what I mean? I've been hearing about it for a long time. The dogman thing, I've been hearing. It would be like every once in a while you hear like the Bray Road one, and it was like they were stuck in geographic areas like England, Scotland. Bray Road was at Wisconsin, up that way. Oh, but not in California, not in Arizona, not maybe Arizona, or is it New Mexico? But I mean, now you're hearing about it everywhere. You're hearing about it in Washington State, in Oregon, California, Mexico, South America. I mean, the dogman thing, or what are they calling it? The bear Bigfoot, or something like that, because it has like a snout. I don't know. It's like a trip, and I don't think we all know enough. Like, like we don't even hardly know enough about Bigfoot to say we know, everything. I mean, only from what I've learned over the years of talking with people, what I experienced, what I learned from the Native Americans. Like, I learned a lot of stuff from talking with Ron Moorhead a few times. Man, we went hanging out with him one day and just sitting there chatting with him, and was learning about how they could be interdimensional, you know what I mean? And also flesh and blood. See, that's where, like, when you're talking about, is there two kinds, like a flesh and blood one, and a interdimensional one? What if they're the same? You know what I mean? Like, what if they're interdimensional, but when they're in the other dimension, you can't see them, you can't interact with them, you can't hear them. They're like gone. You know what I mean? But what if they can enter? What if they could see you? You know what I mean? Like when they're in the other dimension, what if they could hear you, see you, move around you, be standing like that close to you? You know what I mean? Like, but then when they want to, they can be in this dimension, and then when they're in this dimension, they're flesh and blood, and they could be killed and shot and stuff like that. I actually believe the aliens are like that too. I actually believe that when they're in our little dimension where we can interact with them and touch them and feel them and stuff like that, they're vulnerable to us, that we could hurt them if we want to. I mean, that's just that's where I'm kind of being led at the moment. But that, don't write it in stone, because I don't know for sure, I don't. I mean, I've heard stories like that. What's really weird about Bigfoot and me learning about it, and even aliens and stuff like that, is like you learn a little bit and then you think, you know what, I got this figured out, I'm pretty sure I got it figured out. And then you talk like you do, you poo-poo everyone, like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I figured it out, And then all of a sudden you experience something else that blows your theory or what you believed at that point out of the water, and all of a sudden you don't know what you thought you knew, and then you're scrambling to like make something, figure it out again. And yeah, I would love to see. I don't think it's related to Gigantopithecus or whatever. I don't think it's related to that. I think that thing died a long, long, long time ago. And that's more like a big monkey, a big ape. And these are not apes. Okay, what? That's the one for sure thing that I could tell you about Bigfoot is it's not an ape. Okay. I mean, that's something I started off thinking, but it's like, I don't know if you guys watch Todd Standing and his Bigfoot stuff. Yeah, I have had some UFO experiences. And Bigfoot and UFOs at the same time, too, in Oregon. Yeah, I'm not discounting the demon thing at all. And I would be, because I research all this stuff, they fit the aliens. I mean, the demons, the jinn, the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, the Wolf Man, the Shadow Man. I mean, I've researched all this stuff. And then I also researched the Bible, because I had experiences with God, right? Where he talked to me and stuff like that. I mean, like, I heard him. Then when I died and I went into another dimension, one where I think I could see this world and everything, but I wouldn't be able to interact with it, and they can't see me. it they fit this Nephilim thing. They fit. It fits. And the worst thing about it is, if it's real, okay, if they are that and they're not what we think, or what everybody is led to believe, like Bigfoot or a wolf man or an alien or whatever they, were seeing and thinking, like ghosts and stuff like that. If they turn out to be what ancient writing says they are, the gods, and I could see how they would say the gods came down, and had sex with the women. And I mean, if that's true, and then and there is evidence of a flood, real evidence. I mean, if you guys, if people doesn't believe what I'm saying, like, go research. This is real. This is in museums. This is in everywhere. Okay. Some things happened, and if they're that, then they're never going to tell you the truth. They'll always lie. They'll never. So if you could corner one and then get them to talk to you, they're not going to tell you the truth. It's going to be a lie. If they're them, if they're Nephilim, okay? And like Dr. J, he's talking to those ones, right? The Council of 12. Isn't that a weird number? Council of 12. What does that remind you of? Like, if you read the Bible, isn't there 12 apostles? I mean, why are there these things, these themes that kind of run through things? So like, that's something I'm not discounting either. You know what I mean? I'm totally not discounting. I should be showing these things. I see something going along. You must be sharing things, right? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's overrated. Yeah, 12 tribes, 12 apostles. Then he's got them living in trees, right? One of the things that tripped me out about his Bigfoot thing is, I was reading about Skinwalker Ranch, and the military and some scientists set up over there. They actually bought it, right? Or before they bought it, and the people moved out of there because of the freaky stuff that was happening. And they were using infrared or night vision goggles and stuff like that, and they were camped out by the Skinwalker Ranch, and they would see these portals open up, and inside the portal was red. Okay, it was red sky, red. It looked like the earth, and it had like dead bushes, and it would just look like a barren, ugly thing, and it was red. The color red was coming out of there, glowing red. Okay. That's the same description that Dr. J's people say they saw. I'm not for sure. Like, I would love for Adam Davies or anybody to, like, I would love to chat with them about that. Like, I'm totally open. I'm not going to make fun of anyone, you guys. I'm trying to figure it out just like everyone else. I'm way open to, like I'm not saying what Dr. J is, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying there's stuff that we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden they're being really nice to him and sharing things with him, but how does he know they're telling the truth? That's the part. Like, how do you know for sure they're telling you the truth? How? That it's the same with the aliens. Like, when you start researching aliens, they go back, abductions and stuff like that way back. Okay, and first they're Venus, and they're all from Venus, or they're from Mars. Well, as our technology got better, and we can see Mars better, so we know there's nobody there, right? So then they couldn't be from Venus and Mars, and we know what that things couldn't live there. At least they may be able to if they're interdimensional. So that, like, I think things could live inside the sun, because the sun, like, we can't, we'll get burned up. But if you're in another dimension, you might be able to interact with the sun. It might be a totally different, it might be a paradise. You know what I mean? So, I mean, who knows in the other dimensions? Only that once, like first, like, in the 50s and stuff, they're all Venusians and Martians, but now they're Alpha Centaurians or whatever. I mean, they're like way out there where we don't know. You know what I mean? Now they're from way over there. Like we can't figure. And so, how come their story keeps changing? Okay, they didn't change. Their looks didn't change. Their ships didn't change. They didn't change. Okay, they're still running around here. They're still looking like little gray aliens or what. All the certain ones everybody sees. Their thing didn't change, but only where they came from changed as our technology got better and better to be able to know that they can't be from Venus and all that. So you don't even hear them say they're from Venus anymore. They're not Martians anymore either. Now they're way out there. Okay, so that's the one thing about. See, I heard that story too. I actually know a story about a Bigfoot that got hurt, and the tribe took the Bigfoot in, and and nursed him back to health and everything. And then once he got stronger and he was running, then they weren't afraid of him when he couldn't move, and he couldn't run and stuff like that. And he had a broken leg, and then they fixed him up and nursed him. And then one day, and he didn't talk with them by their language, but he understood what they were saying, and they understood what he was trying to relay to them. And they had, like, one day they had a race, and it was for the tribe. The boys in the tribe were running, and the Bigfoot was good enough to run, and he blew everyone away, like, hands down. Could run to the finish line and back 3 or 4 times before these guys are even halfway there. It scared them so bad that they loaded him up in the canoe, and they took him back to where they found him and left him at the rock where they found him from, because he was superhuman, and it scared him really bad. But one of the things, like, I have RSD. Like, before, I have 2 lives. Okay, one was before RSD. I was an executive. I was a ranch owner. I had a bazillion kids, animals, horses, this, that. I mean, I had, like, a really ongoing life. I didn't need anyone. Everybody needed me, but I didn't need them so much. I was driven. I wanted the American dream. That's what I was working towards. Well, at my next life, I lost all that and the ability to walk for a long time. And so all I had was me and the internet and the library and friends that were willing to, drive me here and there in the hills and just let me sit, in the woods and stuff like that, and hang out with me. And that was my research. And I found, like, the Bigfoots come straight to me. Okay, I didn't have to go looking for them. They came to me. If I went to the right area, I didn't have to go hiking all over. I could just go to certain areas where they're, you could look on Google Map and you could figure out like the heavily wooded areas that has to have certain things, water, cover, food. I mean, you could figure out where they're at, and then you go by looking at all the research that, the stories of people. So I had all this time on my hands and I researched everything. Nephilim. I researched the Bible, like the stories in the Bible. The one thing on the Bible that tripped me out was, and why I believe in it so much, is out of all the books, the Maharaba or whatever, however you say that, and all the, all the different religions and everything, the ones in the Bible, the guys in the Bible, they would say stuff 800 years, even longer, some of them 2,000 years. They would say something's going to come to pass. And sometimes it would be said several times by different people through the 1,000 years. And then it would happen. And the Bible would tell about it. And it would happen to the letter of what these guys said. And it didn't, not just one thing, it's over and over and over, especially like Jesus, for instance. I know a lot of people don't like that one, but there's so many references to him and what was going to happen when he was born and while he walked on the earth and how he was going to die and the whole thing. I mean, like, even words that people were going to say around him, people were saying those things 900 years before he was born. And then it all came to pass when he was born. So, I mean, like, I don't know, All I know is what I read, and I don't know. But I want to put my trust in the one that has the most truth. Okay, that's where I go with this. Like, it has to have the most truth. And so far, the Bigfoots lie, the aliens lie, the ghosts lie, like ghosts. Like, let me tell you a ghost story. Okay, so this lady has her son go off into the Iraq, and a few months after he's there, she gets a knock at the door, and there's, the military guys there, and they're like, telling her the bad news that her son was killed in Iraq. And she was like devastated because when he left, they left on bad terms, kind of like she didn't want him to go, and so they were kind of like arguing, and she never got to apologize to him or hug him or nothing, so it really bothered her that he went and did what he thought that he should be doing. And then he passed away before she could say she was sorry and stuff like that and apologize, So she goes and finds this person that could do a seance, and they go in and they arrange the seance and everything, and she goes to it, and then they're sitting there, and the person doing the seance starts channeling the spirits, and next thing you know, and they're asking for the spirit of her son, right? Well, poof, her son pops in and talks to her, and he looks good, and he's telling her he's fine, and don't worry, like, I forgive you. And I mean, just made her feel really good because, everything was fine where he was. He was in no pain, he looked great. I mean, everyone in the whole room was looking at him, and he's telling her all these really neat things about the other side and not to worry and all that. And then She went home and she was so relieved and everything that he forgave her and all that. Well, a couple of weeks later, there's a knock on the door. And she opens up the door, and it's her son. Her son is standing at the door, okay, alive. And she's like, I thought you were dead, Oh my God, I thought you were dead, And they reunited and they did their apologies and all that stuff. And then, they started talking about like, okay, now who was it that was in the seance? Who was that? It wasn't her son, because her son's alive. So who was that? A lying spirit? Like, so can we trust what ghosts say too, or should we not trust what ghosts say? I say don't trust anything unless it has a track record of of truth that you can prove or verify. And so far, Bigfoots, aliens, ghosts, all that stuff, they don't have a very good track record, even on the internet. Believe me on that one. Yeah. Yeah, so. Yeah, I used to like that show. I loved it with the slee stack. Like, where did those things come from? Like, have you ever noticed, that King Arthur was called Pendragon, right? He was a dragon slayer. And when you go to South America, they worshipped the dragon, right? When you go to Japan, they have dragons. China has dragons. I mean, like, all around the world, there's dragons everywhere, reptilians. Isn't it kind of weird that they would be all over the place and everybody worshipped these dragons or reptilians? And then, but when you read the book that has the most truth in it that you can verify, not only verify it by reading it, but you could verify it with other histories of like Rome and the Egyptians and their history and everything. It verifies everything the Bible says pretty much. And that one talks about the old serpent that wanted to be worshipped, right? And they were the ones that came and had sex, I mean, just think about that for a minute. Like, what truth do we really know? Like, what do we really know? And why does everybody believe so quickly on everything? Like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the worst. Like, I don't believe everything unless I can verify it. And some people just fall for anything, you know what I mean? And I think that these things are smart. Like, I think they'll heal you. They'll heal you. They'll do stuff to lure you in, to get them into their little clutches or whatever. Like right now, our government is like Hollywood and all them guys, they're falling right now. The swamp is getting drained finally. They're finally getting to the bottom of the swamp. And what is it now? Like spirit cooking and, what was it? Jay-Z was like, supposedly in the plane, turning in and out of a lizard-looking guy, like a slee stack or whatever. I mean, like, I think maybe these things are like running everything, and maybe the movies and every TV shows and all that stuff are are telling us the truth on. Maybe they're giving us enough truth so that when the big reveal comes, we won't be so shocked. I don't know. Jeffries, I'm hoping to hook up with him here real soon. He just bought a FLIR surveillance camera. Okay, so it's going to be a thermal image surveillance camera that can supposedly see like 50 feet really clear. And it could be hooked up to. See, when we go out in the last few years, we take a DVR and a bunch of surveillance cameras, right? Really good ones too. Some of them could see 300 feet. They have a lot of the little IR lights on them and really good lens on them. So I mean, they could see really far. But only when we turn on the like when we're in the Bigfoots come in and they're really close. You know what I mean? Like they are close to us, and we kind of like call them in, and then they get to us, and then we turn on the surveillance cameras and all the IR light. We can't see it with our eyes, but they move. Like when we're looking at the monitor, they move just outside of the range of the IR light, and then they're like right outside of it. And they're still there. They didn't go anywhere. The camera did not scare them away at all. Guns don't scare them away. I don't know what people believe, but man, we go packing all the time. I packed forever. It hasn't ran one Bigfoot off. A camera hasn't ran them off either. I mean, like, I don't know what people are talking about on that. They're just really good at avoiding them. That's all. It doesn't. And if you think that the gun's going to save you, you got another thing coming, man. If a bear could run you down, if you're 100 yards from a bear and it decides it's going to eat you, it can run you down. You can't run fast enough. Well, I can guarantee you a Bigfoot could run a bear down from 100 yards. I mean, like, the bear doesn't have a chance with the Bigfoot. You don't have a chance with your gun either. Not unless he picks you up where you can get your gun out and put it to his head as you're running, as he's carrying you off, and you blow his brains out. But I'm saying, like, you're probably not going to clear leather before that thing bashes you and hauls you away. I mean, guns are they're only good for people and deer and bear and stuff like that, but they aren't good for Bigfoot. I think you can shoot him several times and nothing's going to happen. But yeah. And there's a message held for review. Should I show it? What's the message? Let's see. I'm going to show it. Hopefully it's not somebody like putting porn up or something. Yeah, I know some people like that they're one look and maybe make a Bigfoot run. Yeah, see, they're like Aaron right there. Heard a recent account of Bigfoot standing in front of a trail cam for 7 full minutes. I would love to see that video, and I believe people have that video. I believe there's people with video all over the place. That's a common like when I talked about Todd Standing, for instance. He has some really good video, and he has not backed off. Everybody called him fake, but that doesn't mean he's a fake. You know what I mean? Like, I'm starting to learn, like, there's people out there that their like whole job is to say you're a faker or a hoaxer. I mean, some people definitely are, and they come right out like Rick Dyer. He's a faker. You know what I mean? He did it even twice, and he even said he was going to do it, and he did it, and everybody still fell for it. Like, but yeah, I believe there's good, clear pictures. I know for a fact that the government has film of them. I know for a fact. Clear film of families doing their daily living in a valley not far from here, but you can only get in there a certain time of the year because it's so way into the wilderness, and you have to like go in with a mule pack and stuff like that. Let's see. I'll look at some chat here. You guys having fun? in chat. I mean, the chat's just flying. I almost can't even keep up with it. I think Todd Stanning's the real deal. I really do. Hey, Viper, Viper. I'm gonna say hey wait before it like goes off the screen on me. The special forces hunt Bigfoot. We actually think that's what happened up there by Avocado Lake. Believe it or not. I mean, like they're saying there was 5 of them. That's because there was 5 of them. There's been 5. People are reporting 5 all around. That but only Keith the farmer. There was more like there was 2 that went one way, and they were actually wearing camouflage and had things, and like guns and stuff like that. And then there was 3 of them that went the other way, and one of them was carrying a pig. But the other two they think were special forces, and they were on his property and they were hunting those. So yeah, and then you never know what it could even be. Viper. Ooh, that would be a good one, huh? It really would. But how does Todd get so much footage when other researchers spend their lives out there with barely? Well, I mean, like, why do you say barely? What, Aaron? Why do you say people barely have any? Why do you say that? I mean, I have some pictures on my computer right now, little short clips. Everybody says they're fake. But I have one. It's like 1,000 yards away, but it's a huge one, and it's digging in the rocks. And I have it right on. You could go on my YouTube channel and go down to the Bigfoot. I have 2 of them. One sitting in the shade, and what that one was doing was walking. Okay, and it might have been carrying a baby. Okay, so it was like walking, but they have this sixth sense. They have this weird sense that soon as they always will have their back to you, it's like they know, you know what I mean? Like when you whip a camera out, they know. They sit down with their back to you, and then they don't move, and then they're a stump. So then you're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and you'll run your battery out. They'll sit there, they'll outsit your battery. I mean, they'll run the battery out. They will not move. So, I mean, like after a certain amount of time goes by, I mean, they're just sitting there not moving. Pretty soon you're like, you know what? I could get a better angle, and maybe I can get a little bit closer, and because, you're getting the same shot and the same thing and the same thing and the same thing. So then you're like, not this time, Bigfoot, I'm going to get you closer. So then you take your eyes off of it for a second. I mean, like just a step around a tree, maybe only a tree like that wide, but that's all that you're not going to see it. Okay. Like not even a second and a half goes by that you step from one side of the tree to the other side of the tree. When you get on the other side of the tree, it's gone. The Bigfoot is gone. They're ninjas. That's how come I call them ninjas of the forest. They're ninjas. They are like ninjas, like poof. Like the big one, the same with the one that was like digging in the rocks. It was digging in the rocks. I think it was looking for food, like lizards or something. I don't know. I don't really know. But all I know is we're like out there, and it's not moving. Once the camera got pulled out and was aiming at it, it froze, and it ducked its head down like that, and it just sat there forever. You know what I mean? Like, and so you're 1,000 yards away. Is like, well, I'm going to go get a better shot of it. And soon as you take your eyes off it, it's gone. I mean, like, you look down and you look back up, and it's gone. Like, how did it know? It had its back to you. How did it know that you weren't looking? How? I mean, I have not figured this out yet. And this has happened like, I don't know how many times. Me and Jeff have all kinds of footage of them from game camera footage. One of them, you could see the look on his face, like it was a smaller one, and we had a trap set up with like 5 cameras all aiming at this fruit. And what it was, where we had it was, and they actually, when after that picture, after we got that picture of the side of his face, the next time we went up there, all the cameras were gone. And the little, what they had was, is they had some logs. I mean, like logs, like telephone pole logs. And they had them stacked up like a fence into like a half circle. And then 2 or 3 feet in front of that little half circle fence, they had this big old log, like, like 3 feet, 3.5 feet tall, laying in front of this half circle thing. And then there was a trail running into that. And that's where we put the fruit and they had all kinds of Bigfoot sign all around there. And it took me a little while to figure out what was going on right there. But what I think was going on was that was their hunting place. Okay. So like 2 or 3 Bigfoot would go out and round up, like get a deer, and they would they wouldn't all be running together, but they would move the deer along the trail into that little half circle. And when it got in there, there would be one where we actually could see where it lays behind the log, right? The big 3.5 foot log with the other like logs behind it, making a corral, like a half a corral. The Bigfoot was laying on the in between, behind the log in front of that little corral log. Jump out and ambush whatever game, deer, whatever they ran through there. Well, this one, when we first got the picture of it, it looks like it stepped in a little bit too far, like, and it was a little one, okay, really little, because this camera was low to the ground, and it was, I don't think it was more than 4 feet tall, this one. It was like a kid, and he made a mistake. And you could see it on his face that he knew that he got caught by the camera. I mean, it wasn't blurry like he was, moving. He was like all of a sudden just standing there, and you could see the side of his face, and it was almost like you could feel the uh-oh, you know what I mean? But then he wasn't in the rest of the shots. Okay? He wasn't in the rest of the shots. Then we have some more where we're setting up the cameras, okay, or taking them down or changing batteries and stuff like that. And while we're doing it, while we're doing this, I mean, we didn't even see it. We were doing a show, and everybody else saw it. We're flipping through these pictures, showing people what we were doing, and then they see off like 40 yards away from us, there's a Bigfoot behind the tree, and it's peeking back and forth, right? We were oblivious that there was anything over there. We were in the middle of freaking nowhere, not far from Dinky Creek. Okay, not far from Dinky Creek. But and we're getting all kinds of action over there until they tore. It looks like the Bigfoot tore up and busted up the little place where they were hunting. And then it looked like, and I don't know if maybe some wood cutters went in there for firewood, because it looked like some of the logs, it looked like the logs are what I don't know is what the evidence, what I could tell was some loggers or some firewood cutters came in there and they probably started cutting on their little fence thing, right? And then there was two pine trees, probably about 60 yards from either side of their little trap, you know, and you could see where something shook the tree so bad on each side that all the pine needles are on the ground. They're only in those two trees. And so I'm a tracker guy, right? So I'm trying to figure out what goes on. That's how I figured out that was where they jumped the deer. Okay, they would run them in there and then jump them. And Jeffrey and those guys, they didn't agree with me, but those two trees, like I think these woodcutters came in, started cutting on their tree, their hunting place, and the Bigfoots got upset and started shaking some pine trees and stuff like that because you could see where the truck pulled in and made like a circle, and pulled in next to this thing, and they went off the road, way off. They were driving off the road. Like, I don't know if it was rangers or what. Like, I don't know if they figured out that we found the place and they wanted to like destroy it, kind of like they're doing with Avocado Lake. Like, I don't know. All I know is somebody came in and started cutting on that, and I think the Bigfoot went nuts because not only they left a bunch of wood, a bunch. I mean, they cut it up, but only they left it. They didn't load it. It was all still laying there, and some of the logs that were the size of a telephone pole, like a phone pole, and they were broken half. Like something went on a rampage and just destroyed. Like once they scared the loggers or the woodcutters away, and all our cameras were gone, okay? All our cameras were gone. All of them, even the ones way up 20-something feet in the tree, they were gone. All of them were gone. The wood was still there, and then some of the logs were totally broke, like smashed, broke. Like, I think Isaiah took some pictures of it or something, but I actually think that these things ran off the woodcutters and probably scared them to death. But I haven't heard anything about that. All I know is they were there. We were getting footage of them, and all of a sudden everything got destroyed, and there was evidence that there was man there doing something, and there was evidence of Bigfoot doing something. And I think I have some of the videos on my computer still. Only I'm not sure if what I could use because I don't want to get Jeff mad at me. Even though I feel like that we worked together on this thing for a long, long, long time, and I have like a good, lot that I put into it and stuff. So I feel like I can share some of it, but not all of it. But I feel like that it was a part of my world there for a long time. My life. So all of a sudden I can't. All of a sudden that all goes away. For me, like I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of tripping on that a little bit because there's some interviews and stuff that I have on the computer that me and Jeff did, and they're really good ones. And I would love to pull them up, but only it's Paranormal Central, and he has it trademarked, and he, was take down the videos. So, but only that's how people find him and me, and so like it's almost like he's cutting me out all the way, of videos like that. Like I could still come around on all the new stuff, but only all the stuff that me and him did is, only he can share now, but I can't share. So I don't know. I don't know the technical legal thing, and I'm not going to hold it against him. I couldn't keep up. It's the real deal, true story. I couldn't. But I don't know. All I know is a lot of the stuff Jeff knows, he knows because of me. He learned from me a lot. A lot. Like he would have never known about a lot of it if he wasn't hanging with me. I know that for a fact. But yeah. See, that's how I feel too. Like I was right there. I mean, and I'm in all the videos, and I'm the one holding the camera, or I'm the one holding the microphone, or I'm the one sitting there with them asking questions. And I mean, I feel like just because he has a copy written, does that mean all of a sudden it's nothing to me anymore? I mean that's like 6 years or 7 years of my life of researching that I can't share anymore. Like me and him have interviewed a lot of people. Like Scott Walters from the History Channel, and I mean like a lot of people, and so all I can do is say I did. Yeah. But I'm not mad at him or nothing like that. I just don't understand, that's the thing, and nobody ever explained it to me yet either. You know. And I realize he probably doesn't want me to put all the videos up because it's probably gonna like take he thinks it's going to take views away from him. And what he doesn't realize, I'm a marketing guy. That's what I did before I got hurt. I worked in the casino's marketing director. I understand marketing very, very well. And taking those down hurt him as much as it hurt me, because you're all publicity is good publicity. You know what I mean? Like it. So what that we're not together anymore doing the show? All those should stay up so that people he could verify it, because I don't think he has all of them either. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure that he doesn't have copies of all those shows. So I thought about like I have all like 280 shows, interviews that we did. I thought about like taking all the Bigfoot ones and of the people that we interviewed, and then making a little video, but only not have Jeff in it, or Paranormal Central, but just have me asking the question and getting the answer, and just kind of edit it like that. I don't know if that's legal or not, but I don't know. Yeah, I feel like everything's going to be good, and there's some good stuff like Sierra Nevada camping, Bigfoot. Let's see. Huh. It went by too fast. I think I could find it. Let's see. Renee, Sierra Nevada camping about 3:45 a.m. Bigfoot yelled for a minute and a half straight. Scream sounded like a crossbreed between a lion's roar and a silverback gorilla. Ferocious growl amplified and echoed for miles. I have Renee on my YouTube right now. If you go to it, and I didn't know what I was doing. I can redo it because I still have the original audio. But I have Bigfoot screaming, roaring at us, and it sounds like King Kong. And I used some free audio thing, and I didn't know what I was doing, so all I did was amplify the Bigfoot roars, and then whatever sound was like right next to it. And I tried to make it where only the roar went really loud, because the video, like It's loud. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you hear everybody's talking normal, all of a sudden, you know, but only that thing roared at us 10 times. 10 times. And you could hear everybody's reaction that was with us. I think Danny was with us. It was me, Danny, Jeff, Robert, and maybe my brother. But that thing roared at us like 10 times, and I kept that video up because it doesn't say Paranormal Central, blah blah blah, whatever, like it's just Bigfoot roars. And then I have another video there that we took at the Thule Reservation, where there was 3 of them, and they were hooting and hollering all around us, and everybody got mad at me. It was actually a 3-hour audio, okay? For 3 hours, these Bigfoots were hooting and hollering all around us, and I edited it down and just edited it down to the hooting and the hollering as much as I could, and cut out all the just sitting there chit-chatting stuff. But only I left in a little bit of reaction, you know what I mean? Like you hear the tribal member that took us up there that never heard that in their life, and they lived there their whole life and never heard that before. You could hear them saying, "Oh my God, did you hear that? You hear that?" And sometimes we were talking over the hollers and screams. And it wasn't, it was because it was 3 hours, you know what I mean? Like 3 hours. So we didn't just sit there and go, "I wonder when the next one is." After like 20 or 30 minutes, like everybody starts talking, even 15, 10 minutes. Everybody's just sitting there, and everybody starts to talk again because it stopped, like it stopped screaming. And what was weird about it is, when we were quiet and not talking, it wouldn't scream. Soon as we started talking and we got in a conversation, it would start screaming again. And we're like, "Oh, you hear that?" And everybody would shut up. And then we're sitting there waiting for it to do it again, and it wouldn't do it again. So we're like waiting and nothing, and then pretty soon we're like starting to talk again, and we start getting into the conversation, and then all of a sudden it starts yelling again. It was like, "Oh, you hear that? Oh," and then we would all shut up. And one thing we didn't realize was the actual audio recording device was probably like 60 feet away from us, and it sounded like we're sitting right on top of it. So now we know, like to take the recorder way away from us so you don't hear us talking, and you only hear, like, you may be able to hear us in the background, but you'll be able to hear the Bigfoot better. But I have that. It's all on my YouTube channel. And if you look in the Bigfoot section down there, there's 2 videos of Bigfoot, a real Bigfoot. And then there's 2 audios of Bigfoots, one from the Thule Reservation and one from the spot where it sounded like King Kong. And you can hear it. The King Kong one, probably, it starts off pretty far away, so you barely could hear it. But I guarantee you, if you sit until the 4th or 5th, roar like King Kong, you will hear it. You could even hear it on your cell phone. You could turn your cell phone up and just hold it to your ear, and you will hear the roar. Even across the room, people could hear it. It was King Kong that day. Yep. And that's all on my YouTube channel still. That I didn't take that down. Yep. Let's see. You're not on Facebook anymore? Aw. I have to be on Facebook because that's my main way of keeping in touch with my family, my children, and stuff like that. I need the Allen app. I built an app once for the fun of it. Maybe I can make a Squatch Zone app. We'll have to see. You know, I kind of didn't want to do Squatch Zone as the name because I want to talk about everything. I want to talk about paranormal, but only there is so many names, paranormal names. So I figure, you know what? It's the Squatch Zone, and the Squatch is pretty paranormal. So anything goes, and I'll just make I'll just make playlists, like UFO playlists. I'll make a ghost playlist. I'll make like pterodactyls. Man, I should tell you guys, man. One of my neighbors, when I lived up in the hills, I raised all my kids, and a lot of you guys know that. I raised my kids in the hills because I wanted to teach them real values, and I did a worm farm, and I was teaching them how to do a business on their own. Only I got to know like a lot of the neighbors and stuff like that through the kids, right? I had 6 kids, 5 boys. So they were like, all these kids are coming to my house and stuff like that. And one day, one of the kids, I would hang out with his dad sometimes. They just lived down the road, but their family owned thousands of acres, and they probably owned the property I was even on at one time, and they got like needing money, so then they would bust it up in 20-acre parcels and then sell them. But they still had thousands of acres, all over the place. I mean, like, so they sold 300 acres or something like that. It wasn't nothing to them because they did that. I actually want to do a section on worms. I want to do a worm farm thing and talk about worms because I think they're really important. I mean, everybody used to call me the worm guy or the worm king or whatever. But let me get back. Okay, now, two of these kids, they owned this house that their grandma lived in, but she didn't live in there anymore. And it was kind of set back a little bit off the road in a beautiful area, but nobody was in it that often. And in the springtime, the dad dropped off his 2 sons with some quads and shotguns and tools, and you have to weed whack at that time 30 feet around all the buildings. Okay, now it's 100 feet, and we usually did way more than 30 feet. We always did like 100 feet, anyways. Wow, am I like my stream health is messing up? Interesting. All of a sudden, my stream health is like acting up on me. Yeah, so he drops his kids off, and they work that day, and then and there's no curtains or anything in the house, and they're just laying in bed talking, and all of a sudden they see these red glowing eyes looking in the window, and freaks them out, like the windows are pretty tall. They're like it was an older house, so the windows were higher up. You know what I mean? Not like the new houses. It was like the back of the house, so it would be like 6 feet would be the bottom of the windowsill of these houses, of this house, and this thing was like a little bit taller than the window, and it had red eyes, and it was looking in their window, and they grabbed the shotgun and ran over to the window, and as soon as it seen them moving, it like got away. And when they got to the window, there was 2 of them out there, and they were pterodactyls is what they saw, but their eyes glowed red, and they were hopping, like not walking but hopping like a bird. And he said they were like 7 or 8 feet tall, and they flew off, and they didn't sleep all the rest of the night. They pretty much stayed on watch all night. And Man, it's saying my stream health is already going to nothing, like to red. Like, hold on a minute. Like, what is that about? Let me see. Everything looks like right. I can try this. Oh, I guess I can't try that. Oh, well, I'll try that next time. Everything says good here. Oh, well. Back to the chat. Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I am lagging. Maybe it's telling me it's time to stop. I've been going almost 2 hours. But I love hanging out with you guys and talking with you and stuff like that. Yeah, it's getting choppy and stuff. I don't know why. It might be that they're watching, what is that? What does the women like to watch? That movie, Hallmark. Yeah, they might be watching Hallmark. Yeah, well, yeah, those guys, they saw pterodactyls. They swear up and down. I still know the kids. They're not kids anymore. Now they're like 30s, But they saw pterodactyls and right around, not far from here, like a 45-minute ride from here, and in an area where a lot of people see giant birds is what they call them. You know. Well, you guys, I hope you had this has been so fun, man. If you can afford a shirt, buy a shirt and get a cool shirt so that I can use the money to upgrade the computer. Maybe that might be the problem. I might be resourcing the computer out. I have no idea, But instead of begging all the time for money, I'm just gonna beg everybody to buy a shirt or buy some stuff that I got going on. That way I feel better about it. But if you're gonna give, you want to give, I'm not gonna stop that either, because I believe that you'll be blessed for giving, because I get blessed for giving. And when that gets laid on your heart, do what your gut feeling tells you, because don't miss out on a blessing. But if you have the money and you just want to help me out and you don't feel it like you got to give me anything, but you want a cool shirt and you want to help me too, that would be fine too. And subscribe and share and do all that. The shirt has a link in the cover picture on my YouTube channel. At the top, there's a cover picture. At the very far right, bottom right of the picture, there's some links to Facebook. I have a Facebook page called the Squatch Zone, the Google Plus, and the Teespring, and so you can click on that, or you can click on any of the videos, the latest videos, like the one I have with me and Jeff, and I was holding the camera recently that we just did. And the last show I just did, you can go on that one, and there's a link inside. You go up to the top right hand of the video, and there's a little eye with a circle. You click on that, and it'll take you straight to the t-shirts and stuff, and the mug and all that stuff. But I appreciate it. I thank you guys, and one of the main reasons I came on tonight was to tell you guys what we don't hear enough, and that is I love you guys, right? I love you guys. It's a for real thing. I really do love you guys. You guys are wonderful, great people. And I love you. And I don't care if you give or buy or whatever. I love everybody, but only the ones that's tuning in. I love you guys even more. I love you guys. So I guess be looking forward to the video that I'll be putting out in the next day or so of our little adventures into Blue Canyon tomorrow. And share and like and whatever everybody says you do with YouTube, whatever. You guys probably know it better than me. I wonder if I can Wonder if I could put the link like right here. It says my video output is low. I'm not receiving enough video to maintain smooth stream. Huh. It must be my computer. So yeah, buy shirts so I can fix my computer up. And you guys have a good weekend. I'll be putting something up about Blue Canyon real soon, all right? It's great hanging with you, and you have a great rest of Saturday night.